Good afternoon and welcome back. I'm Marcus Peter. My friend Randall Smith of the University of St. Thomas wrote an article in the Catholic World Report about artificial intelligence, humans, and the real limits of machines. And I think he has a lot to say about how machines simulate human beings in terms of their output. But the reality is, for human beings to function well, we have to make sure that we're ensuring that there is no AI interference in how we put ourselves out there. And Randall's going to walk us through that. Dr. Randall Smith, he is Chair of Theology at University of St. Thomas in Houston, prolific author. Randall, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Always a joy to reconnect with you. So, I really appreciated your salient comments here, and I want to begin by asking you just very, very plainly about the fact that, whether we like it or not, there's a certain ubiquitousness to AI usage, or at least these large language learning models. And how has that impacted how we think about things like the writing sphere, the learning sphere, and the sphere of human interaction in general?
Well, it's going to affect it a lot, but one of the things I like to warn people about, even before that, right, is, look, we've kind of prepared ourselves. I don't mean prepared in a good way. I mean, we've opened ourselves up to this by acting like machines, right? I mean, once you have bureaucracy of a certain sort, right? I mean, once you're treating human beings like, entries on a spreadsheet, once you have bureaucrats who won't make good judgments, who just act like an algorithm, well, then clearly, one might say, if you're doing your job like a machine, then you're likely going to be replaced by a machine. Now, look, I don't consider this to be, I suppose in some cases I consider it to be a good thing, but, before we start even thinking about the dangers of AI, and there are some, a good number, but still the point is, look, to what extent have we already turned ourselves into machines, right? We treat others like in a machine-like manner. So again, just to use another example, if you produce machine-like prose, and again, bureaucrats do this all the time, right? They produce this kind of meaningless gibberish. And the point is if that's what you do, okay, if that's what you specialize in, well, a machine can do that, right? I mean, meaningless prose can be produced by a machine that has no sense of what it's saying. So if you're a bureaucrat who has no sense of what you're saying, well, a machine can do that and do it a lot faster and actually probably a lot better than you can. When we think about how much meaningless stuff is being thrown out there, and how many, again, anybody who's dealt with human resources departments that don't really deal with human beings, right? They're just treating you like like an algorithm would treat you. Well, again, we've already turned ourselves into machines, so we should expect AI to very comfortably take over all those roles.
As you highlight that, it's also become very clear that we have to think rightly about the limitations of these machines and not confine ourselves by those limitations, and measure human output by those limitations. You rightly highlight Hubert Dreyfus's book on the internet, Ragnar Fjellin, right, if I'm pronouncing the name rightly, Why General Artificial Intelligence Will Not Be Realized. Brilliant article, by the way. I enjoyed reading it. Just help us understand that, how we ought to think about intelligence rightly, and therefore the real limitations of the technology.
Yeah. So again, AI can do certain things and do certain things well, right? Computers do certain things and do certain things well, but they don't do other things. So, for example, one thing that AI or computers or let's just stick with AI and computers right at the moment, don't do well is they're not embodied beings, right? So if you want your plumbing fixed or an electrical socket rewired in your house, AI can't do that because it doesn't have a body, right? If you want someone to hold and breastfeed babies, AI can't do that, right? It doesn't have a body. Now, we go to the next level and we say, here's something else AI doesn't have that mothers who feed their children have, namely love, compassion, care, emotions. AIs don't have emotions, so they can't really understand beings who have emotions. Now, look, again, anybody who's dealt with an AI, they can simulate care, but it's not actual care. They can simulate understanding of you from all the, stuff that you've put into it. But it's not real understanding in the way that we sort of say, oh, my teacher or my coach or my father had a great amount of understanding, right? He believed in me. AI can't believe in you, okay? It doesn't have faith in you. All those things that are most human about us, AI simply can't do.
Randall, you and I are effectively saying the same thing into this AI sphere, and as you speak into it, I find myself speaking at AI conferences as well, saying the exact same thing. Why don't developers of this technology understand or grapple with these things we're saying in this right way?
Well, there's a number of reasons, I suppose, right? I mean, anytime there's a sort of powerful new technology that people think can do amazing things, they hold out great hope for it, right? I mean, again, I know when I was young, people thought, television is going to revolutionize education. I'm just using examples from education because I'm in education. And the point is, television didn't revolutionize education, right? I mean, television does some good things and has a lot of problems. Then at a certain point, it was like, computers are going to revolutionize education. Didn't. Internet is going to revolutionize education. Didn't, right? I mean, again, all of those things have benefits, but they also have drawbacks. AI has benefits, but it will not revolutionize human-to-human interaction. Mm-hmm. It will help us in some ways, and it will not help us and will have a lot of dangers in other ways. That's been true of every technological development up to this point. It will be true here. The other thing that opens us up to this, I think, is simply that when you have a philosophy generally which focuses on human beings as thinking things, which has been true ever since Descartes, right? When you focus on consciousness, when you focus on cognition, when you focus on, that kind of that particular aspect of human experience, well, then if you have a machine that can think and think, and it seems to be thinking and thinking and thinking faster, you think, oh, wow, this is amazing, even more powerful than human beings. And the point is like, well, if that was the only thing human beings did, if human beings were just thinking things, well, then, yeah, it can think faster than we can. But then again, your calculator can do math faster than you can. That doesn't mean calculators alone can build great cities.
And therefore, if we rightly think about revolutionizing, we're thinking about something even in the substance of the thing changing, and that's never going to happen. We have about 30 seconds left. Just very quickly speak to ease the fears of everyone listening, especially in terms of human interaction and education.
Yeah, again, look, AI, and a lot of AI developers will tell you this, actually. My wife goes to a lot of these sort of things. She's in tech. AI will not replace a huge number of workers, right? I mean, AI will replace some workers, as I've said. I mean, so if you're a robot-type worker, AI may replace you. But then the point is, you can get other jobs. And again, judgment will still be absolutely essential, mm-hmm. right? And AI simply doesn't have judgment. But human beings have to be human, or else they will be replaced by machines.
I've been talking about Dr. Randall Smith. Now, he holds the chair of theology at the University of St. Thomas, and we're talking about artificial intelligence, human interactions with artificial intelligence, and as we can really calmly engage this, the limitations of this technology. Now, we can also understand that there are certain thresholds of the future that are being discussed in terms of artificial general or super intelligence. Randall and I are going to talk about them on the other side of the break. Stay tuned. I'm Marcus Peter. Good afternoon and welcome back. I'm Marcus Peter talking with Dr. Randall Smith of St. Thomas, University of St. Thomas in Houston. He is the chair of theology there. Randall, I want to pick up where we just left off. When you talk to individuals who are working in the text sphere, even those who are faithfully Catholic, it seems that their horizon and the way they perceive what the future reality is going to look like is we will come to a point where between the advances in robotics to advances in artificial intelligence, that we will have these simulacra walking around amongst us that are virtually indistinguishable from the human person. And they think about this as, well, and the church therefore has to teach us how to navigate that conversation before it happens. Can you please speak into that?
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I have to go back. When I was younger, right, and this may be true when you were younger, and maybe some of your listeners, but they used to have these shows about what would it be like in the 21st century, right? You know,
Back to the Future.
That was supposed to be, like Back to the Future. But I mean, even before that, and I always thought, okay, when we get to the 21st century, it was going to be like Star Trek, right? And also, particularly, I was going to have like a jetpack, and I was going to be able to fly around, and there were going to be cars that flew around and stuff like that. Well, we're well into the 21st century, and I don't have my jetpack, right? 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? And you see this big, huge a space station, moon base. We're not whenever anybody says, well, look, this is what's going to happen, it's going to blah, 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 it's kind of like, yeah, I've been there before, right? And we'll see, right? First of all, yeah, I mean, again, when you see robots, okay, they don't look anything like human beings, and look, we should deal with that problem if we see anything like it. We have our own issues. And again, the issues I think we have with AI are the extent that they are causing us problems now. Because again, we live in a culture where people think, look, it's just about knowledge. It's just about cognition. It's just about processing information and not about understanding and judgment, right? And all of those related to emotion. And everybody who's done study on these things will tell you that there is a deep relationship between our emotional, affective part of our brain and our character and our cognition. And when we have, thinking machines, as it were, whatever degree of thinking you want to associate with artificial intelligence, it has no emotions, in which case, look, that has benefits. Again, your calculator doesn't have emotions. It's not worried about getting the sums wrong or the fractions wrong or sine or cosine wrong. So it can do what it does, but it cannot figure out difficult problems. It cannot figure out whether this particular, thing is the proper thing to do or the other thing is a proper thing to do. And AI can't figure out how to treat people with dignity and respect.
And at the core here, if we, I want to make clear for all of our listeners, Randall and I are not Luddites. We're actually speaking into this sphere with a proper consideration for the development of the technology. And the core consideration here, Randall, is that the wisdom of St. Thomas Aquinas and Aristotle in terms of understanding not just the human soul, but thereby the human person, that's never changed. That those insights are still true today as they were thousands of years ago, and therefore AI can simulate an emotional response, but it cannot have a real emotional experience as a part of an intellect and a will integrated into a bearer of the divine image.
Yeah, and along with that, we understand that, look, the AI can never be, it can, in some sense, I suppose, be smarter than its creator, gain more knowledge than its creator, whoever put it together, or the group that puts it together, right? But here's the thing that the AI cannot be, right? It cannot be any more virtuous or any less sinful than its creator. right? We are made in the image, human beings are made in the image of God, but we're fallen creatures, right? And for us, that's why the paradigm is Christ. But the machines we create all are going, and the internet has this, cars have this, cities have this, we all have this, right? Namely, we have the results of our fallen nature, which we build into everything we build, every institution we build. Schools are a great thing, but they always participate in the fallen nature of the people who are engaged in education. That's why, as St. Augustine says in the Confessions, he went to school. Did it make him a better person? Not necessarily, right? Because he had all these fallen professors. I'm a fallen professor. I can't make my students, perfect. I can't give them their salvation. Only Christ can do that. And the AI can be no more virtuous and no more loving than the people who create it. And every single person who's working on it is a fallen human being.
Which amazingly is exactly what Pope Leo XIV brought out in Magnificat Humanitas. And so the wisdom that he offers in that document is to the effect that we, faithful members of the covenant, we people who know Jesus Christ, have to be the ones stewarding, guiding, and shepherding the conversation forward, lest the virtue conversation is completely overtaken by the technocrat conversation.
Right. But again, look, and I just warn people, since the technocratic paradigm, right, and this is something that we've been talking about ever since the Second Vatican Council, the technocratic paradigm is one that, again, has infused itself into the culture long before AI, and that's why AI is going to just, balloon into all those crevices that we've opened up. It's the same way, think with the internet, right? Well, why is the internet? Well, once you have a culture that's not communicating, right? Once you have a culture that's out watching television and not going outside and playing with each other, well, then somebody gives them a computer. That's just television squared, right? I mean, that's just the same. We made an opening for that by not living human lives. And so similarly, look, again, I'm not a Luddite, you and I both, but here's the trick, here's the art, we might say, to AI. You have to figure out what it can do and what it can do well, and distinguish it from what it can't do, and then don't try to make it do what it shouldn't be trying to do, right? It can't make judgments, don't ask it to make judgments. It doesn't really have understanding, don't ask it for its understanding. It doesn't have emotions, so don't expect it to have emotions, right? It can't really hold a conversation with you, so don't hold conversations with it, right? Use it as an information source, as a way of, gathering together loads of information in the information economy. That's what it's useful for, and that's why people are very excited about it, because we have so much hordes of information. This is a thing that can actually sort through that effectively. That's a very good thing, but the point is, everything else that anybody says it can do or it might do, that's hype. It's not going to, right? What it will force human beings to do is to up their game. You're going to have to be more human, less robotic, or else you're going to be replaced by a robot.
And to that point, when even within the technocratic paradigm, there are organizations that are pushing for different iterations of AI models that, for example, you've got a few companies out there that create AI chatbots for the sole purpose of creating companions, friends or romantic companions that are artificial chatbots. It cannot do that. And so even if you've got someone in the technocratic sphere pushing forward this alleged capacity, we have to be so human that we can look at it and go, well, that's not human interaction. That's not imago with imago, and therefore we should have nothing to do with it.
Right. I mean, again, look, Catholics should have looked, and many did, at television and say it's not real human interaction. Catholics should have looked at, and so many did, right, internet interactions and said they're not real human interactions. Catholics should be looking at what we see with phones and people on their phones all the time and saying it's not real human interaction. It's not horrible. It can do certain things, right? I want kids to have phones in case they're in danger, right? It's good to have contact. But the point is, Catholics can say it's not real human interaction. We have to minimize. We have to know how to use it wisely. That's going to be true as true for AI as it's true for all those other things, right? You can either use the internet to find all sorts of fascinating, important information about Thomas Aquinas. All his works are on the internet. I'm always absolutely fascinated and find it wonderful. But of course, the internet is filled, as we all know, with massive amounts of pornography and horrors. And the point is, well, okay, I'm very happy Thomas Aquinas is there. I'm not happy. And so as Catholics, we got to say, look, use it for what it's good for and just keep away from all the bad stuff, right? What can we say? In every city, there's good neighborhoods with good people and bad neighborhoods with his bad stuff. Stay out of the bad neighborhoods. Get talking to the good people.
About under a minute left, Randall. Just a word of hope and exhortation to parents, grandparents listening who are concerned about their children in AI.
Oh, well, again, look, you fought this battle with the television. You fought this battle with the computer. You fought this battle with the cell phones. You're going to win this battle. I mean, again, you're going to have to fight the battle with AI in various and sundry ways. I don't know. The AI thing might actually be easier in certain ways, but it's going to be a battle. But again, as much as there is the power of sin, the power of grace is greater. What else can we say, right?
Randall, tremendous joy, honor. Thank you very much for making the time. Love connecting with you.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure.
My guest has been Dr. Randall Smith. He is Chair of Theology at the University of St. Thomas in Houston, Texas. And we've been talking about AI, human interactions with AI, and the limitations of this technology. And therefore, hold on to hope. The way we win this battle is by being more human and a little more divine. Stay tuned. I'm Marcus Peter.